Welcome, wonderful souls, to the Lightness of Being Podcast. I'm Monika Stefanik, your guide for a deep dive into a world where magic, reality, and divine love intersect. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin.
Are we just talking?
Yeah.
You're gonna pick up wherever you want to pick up.
Totally. I was just about to say, welcome to the Lightness of Being Podcast.
Okay.
I do not know what episode we're on, but we're here.
We're here.
And sitting with Elizabeth Weigand.
Weigand.
Oh, I feel so bad. I just butchered that.
Hey. That's all
Where's
right.
that from? Or what's the origin?
German.
Okay. That makes
Weigand.
sense.
It means warrior.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Feels appropriate for you. Tantric warrior goddess.
Ooh, I had never combined those words before. I like that.
I like that. Oh my gosh. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having tea with me and sitting down as you're having the space and this conversation. I'd love to just hear you share a little bit about you and what you offer right now in this world and what feels most alive within how you are showing up in service.
I'd love to share. It's interesting, like there's so many different ways to answer that question. And the thing that's feeling so real to move into, which connects to this clarification on my last name, Weigand, my dad's family. My whole family's been here for quite some time in Central Oregon, but the Weigand family has been here since like the late 1800s. So I'm like a very native Central Oregonian.
Wow.
They were dryland wheat farmers out in this little homestead place that was called La Monta. It was between Madras and Prineville. And they were a stop-off place for people traveling through Central Oregon, like to go east or to whatever. That was the spot. And they'd like get food and like get water and whatever. And it's not there anymore. Like La Monta is gone. They built the highway and then like it got kind of, I don't know the exact history on it, but there is still a windmill there that says Joe Weigand. It's my great-great-grandpa. Great-great-great-grandpa. And he came out here, and then his dad, whose name was Laborious, so they came from Missouri. Anyway, I'm bringing all that up because what feels like so central to me and what inspires me and what feels like it weaves into all of the work that I do and the offerings that I create and also just the way that I live my life, because all of these things are they're all together. There's like no separation of like the expression through a service, and an offering, whatever dharma however you want to express it. And I still think even dharma is like, for me, like it's a very umbrella of like how I show up in the world.
Yes.
In my life, personally, professionally, whatever, as a mom, as a homeowner, whatever. But it's this like going back into the presence and like this alignment with like instinct and like the natural, like earthy, animal-esque like expression of what it is to be human. Yeah. Like that's the thing that feels like so powerful to me. And I could talk for weekends and weekends.
I can feel this like energy coming up. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I love this.
Yes. Yeah. About like the modern context and how, I mean, we've been hearing about this for years, right? Like this isn't like some new information that I'm offering, but the way that I'm interpreting it and expressing it is obviously unique to me because I'm a unique person. You're a unique person. We're all unique people. And so how that shows up is unique for each of us. And for me, it's like like a stripping away of all of this stuff and like going back to this place of like deep simplicity of life. And like, I don't want to live in town. Like, I want to live like I grew up on a farm north of Madras. That's my whole upbringing was 10 miles north of Madras. I grew up on a farm, and there were parts of my childhood that I was like, I hate this. Like, I can't be by my friends, and my friends are in town. And then I look back on that and I'm like, oh my God, like that was such a rooted phase of life for me to find safety in my environment and safety in myself to just be free. Like, and that's what my childhood was with, I have 3 siblings, there are 4 of us, and my parents are still married and they still live out there. And the little brother still lives out there and he farms too, his wife and their 3 kids. And, but just like, there's something about the simplicity that like, I honestly believe in the way that I think about all this is like directly related to our capacity to thrive in this human body, in this human experience. And for me, it's easy to remove a lot of the distractions for whatever reason. Like, even as a kid, I didn't really care about pop culture. So I don't know why. Like, 2 of my siblings were kind of like that. My sister was different. She always knew about everything, and I was always envious because she always knew the music and whatever, the people, and like, I just never knew, and I still don't. And at one point I was like, oh, I like, that feels uncomfortable.
Should I know?
I feel like I'm like, yes, like I'm like not included. Like I'm not a part of this like tribe of people that cares about this stuff. And now I'm like thank God I don't care.
There's a like natural part of you where you're just like, this doesn't matter. But like as a child, I feel like it's nice when you have the distance.
Yeah.
From town. But like you said, your sister was also like all up and in it. So there is this, that pull or that draw to feel like a part of the crowd or the herd.
Yeah. And we're inundated by it, right? It's like, this is like all the things that are important that you should know about. And
how amazing as a kid that you didn't, even in that space, you didn't, not even necessarily like allowed to come up and through, but it just wasn't. You were just like, this doesn't serve me. And I feel like that space of knowing and sovereignty is pretty rare when we're that young. So I just want to like honor your parents and your upbringing because they did a wonderful job and created a beautiful human. And I know that you probably have, your things and your journey and working through stuff, because we all do with family. And I feel like regardless, it's still really important to honor that upbringing.
Thank you. I appreciate
celebrating your parents and your mother, your sweet mother.
My fierce mother. My mom had a lot of things going on in my relationship with my mom. It's complicated, but I deeply respect my mother. She's, she's like, there's so many qualities of her that I find deeply inspiring and powerful. Yeah. And very like in this sort of vein of sort of rebellion to what society tells us is normal. Like, there was a lot about my mom that was like countered that was more meaningful, symbolic, I think, than I ever understood until this era of my life. Yeah. So I have massive gratitude. Still have complexities and like all of this stuff, right? It's like we all just are where we are in the moment that we're in that moment. And like there's no blame, there's no pointing fingers. Like, we're all just showing up the best that we can in the moments that we are alive in this lifetime, and the interaction is just what's, the outcome of all of that. And it's all okay. And like the ultimate is like the ultimate freedom, as you well know, is like to feel free in here and to have those interactions show up to like help us recognize that like outsourcing the responsibility of that is futile. It is futile and it is exhausting.
Creates so much pain, internal pain.
Yeah. So I can have experienced all of the frustrations that I've had with my family and also be like, oh, I'm so fucking blessed. Like, so blessed. Like, I was never abused, it's never like, my childhood was rather rad. And like,
I love that.
would I change things? Yeah. Like, I wish I would have been empathized more. Like, I had to teach myself how to understand and feel my emotions because I didn't really get those reflected back to me as a child. And like, how many of us don't, so many, right? Like, to validate our experience, like, that's tricky. And a lot of children, this is like one of my biggest piece of mourning in my solo medicine experience I had a week ago was like the sadness, like the grief that's like limitless grief around this like never ending cycle of people not falling in love with themselves so that they can't show up the way they need to for a child to learn how to trust themselves. And then it just repeats and it just repeats and it just repeats. And like, you can't blame anybody because it's just a never ending cycle. And how much sadness that is, right? Like, I have a child, he's 5, will be 6 very soon. And it feels like that's the ultimate responsibility that I have in my life right now, is to be a parent to him so that he can learn to trust himself. That's all that matters. Because 90%, not 90%, I would say 99.9% of the stuff that I work with myself and with people I work with in my career and my offering is self-trust. It's like when we don't trust ourselves, we're not loving ourselves. And when we're not loving ourselves, we can't actually love anybody else. It's actually impossible.
Service in the way that we're meant to in this
like,
world from that
yes,
deep-seated power source.
And the mask that's trying to get love from aspects of our life, whether it's from humans or activities or whatever, there's this like subconscious like needing of filling oneself because it's not being met by oneself. And it's messy. And like, there's compassion for that. Like, there's zero judgment for anything. It's like massive grace, but like, it's like, the world just like stop right now. And can we just all take a year to be in solitude for ourselves, even 6 months?
Yeah.
To actually like remove all of the distractions and be with self. Because the world is it's so inundating. And like, solitude 100 years ago is not what solitude is now. Solitude now is just like mostly checking out.
Yeah. I feel like I have to fight some of the time to have that space for me in that slowness. And I guess I shouldn't say it's a fight. It's more of just like a choice of how I desire to live my life so that I have the ability to have the spaciousness of solitude and stepping deeper into my sovereignty. Because of course we're consistently pulled. The to-do lists are endless. Like, everything that is consistently out there, like, you can make excuses for whatever. Like, we're constantly inundated with information and distractions. And it is a conscious choice to say no and to step back. And I feel like that's a really powerful space that we're in right now. And it is really challenging because there is so much. And we do have this like deep seated space within all of us that all of us are really just yearning for connection. Like, that's really what it is. So we look for it through TV, through other people, through activities, through substances, through all of that. And it's like, but at its very core root is connection. And so as we can start to like develop that self-love and that self-trust and that connection within ourselves and with source, which is who we are, we all just is one. That's when that profound experience of like what love really is, what like existence is, and how we're here to be, and then how we get to show up in service for ourselves and our life and for others from a much more rooted and like grounded space. Because even as we were talking before we started recording, right, how we were just talking about how life is just things are just moving around a lot all the time, and to kind of be the rock in the stream takes practice, because all of that movement is not going to.
Yeah.
Stop.
No.
And so we get to choose how we navigate through the chaos that we are in, but like through chaos comes creation. And like that doesn't mean that it's not challenging and that it's hard to face. And there are moments of like grieving, and there's so much complexity to this human experience. And like we get to have it, like the lows as well as the highs. And the more that I start to like navigate that terrain, I'm like so grateful for every little piece of it. And even when like the grief and the challenges do come up, it becomes softer and easier every time because of how I have chosen to approach myself and love myself and show up to myself and realize all the spaces where I was outsourcing and causing my own pain and like and letting go of some of that stuff. And it's hard.
It is.
It's really hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's it is a rebellious move. Every decision that brings that like depth of self-relationship and self-connection is it's like an act. It's like a very like revolutionary stance to take.
That's so fascinating because it's revolutionary, but it also just feels like a remembering because it's like a going back to where we
that's like the whole
came
for me,
from.
the instinct thing. It's like this is our thriving nature. Like this like
The
what we're
Maya
modeled is
that's so confusing. So that actually, I mean, that brings me. Oh, it's 11:11 right now. Make a wish.
That's my little boy's birthday. It's nice. It's a special number in my life. Yeah,
so fun.
I love that you noticed that.
And angel numbers, all that's like mostly how my guides communicate to me. Is that every single day I see like multitudes of angel numbers. I'm like, okay, all right, love that. Greetings, beautiful beings. I am popping in really quickly to share a beautiful and free ebook that is just for you. And it's all about falling in love with your life. This free guide is built on everything that has helped me transform and shape my reality, from pain and sorrow to freedom and bliss and flow and joy. I share this from a space of encouraging you to a deep place of self-empowerment, of truly getting to choose for you each and every moment of each and every day, and really falling in love with the life that you get to create. So this ebook also holds a very exciting invitation for a prosperous path to wellness that has transformed my life in miraculous ways. And I would love to have you on that journey with me. You can access this amazing content by signing up for my email list, which there's a link down in the show notes. I'm really grateful that you're here. Let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, that brings me to the work that you do in this world, and just this learning to love ourselves through the form of Tantra and navigating that realm of awareness, because I feel like you studied with a really incredible teacher that I love. And so I'd love to hear about that. And I also feel like, as someone who's just kind of starting to dive deeper into that realm of Tantra and like understand it, there's a lot of like misconceptions around what it is because of like the spiritual world and all of that. And so I'd love to hear you just speak to that in your experience and how that relates to really, especially the period of time that we are in right now, because we are in this space of like deep sovereignty, and especially like astrologically and the big, great change that we're going through. It's like we are all the conversations I'm having right now are like we are being called deeper into shedding and releasing so that we can come deeper into the space of like sovereignty and of self, so that we can be really rooted in our vitality and our radiance, so that we can shine out from there and be supportive for the collective as these things start to change. And the only way to do that is through self-trust and self-love, and releasing all of these ways in which we're like holding and gripping and grasping onto the things around us to try to think that that's what connection really is, which is not. In Tantra, to me, especially like starting to get into the Radiance Sutras, it's like just this deep form of connection and love and radiance and vitality with all of life, not just sex, right? Like and sex is like everything. It's how we interact with everything. I'm like, this leaf is like caressing. It's been caressing me. Sensual. Hello. How are you? It's been that long-winded question, not question. I'd love to hear you speak on this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to share.
Yeah.
I just like this cultivation of one's like inner sanctuary, and I'm thinking that language and how it weaves into Tantra. And there's a number of ways that I like to kind of like, if you remember anything, remember it like this, which one way is Tantra is bringing heart-centered awareness to every aspect of what it means to be human. So it's like this very broad, like what does that even mean, right? Well, it just means like bringing consciousness. So like we tend to think that like our thinking mind is like who we are. This is I am this like thinking mind thing, but obviously you like in this process of life, which that's my North Star process, that like our real like consciousness is not the thinking mind. It's like it's heart, right? Like the heart is like alive, and the heart is like this like electromagnetic like force to be like leverage sounds very mechanical, but but like experienced, like to experience life through like the heart space, and to be able to drop one's awareness into the heart and to feel life through the heart. Like that's like the true self. Like that's like, all of these different like ways of describing language, like source self or true self or higher self or energetic self or whatever you want to call this like deeper presence of I, which is I.
The eye of all that is.
It's all that is. And so in like this frame of Tantra, I like to think of it as like the practice of Tantra. Well, first, like the history, it had this kind of primary arc when it was really being practiced and studied and taught from 500 to 1500 AD. So it's not like an ancient religion like Hinduism or something, or some of these older religions. But that was the arc. And of course, it's still like some of these other bodies of teachings that are still alive. And Tantra is one of these bodies of teachings that is still alive. And my teacher, who created the coaching program that I was enrolled in 2023, and I'm still actually involved in because I'm doing a couple extra special certificates. One of them is Tantric Intimacy. And the other one is, it's called Men's Sexuality, but I like to think of it more as like masculine instinct and integration.
Needed right now.
Yeah. It's like, I have a very hard time selecting my audience. They're all so potent to me. And I'm actually like, the word sovereign has been mentioned a number of times by you. And that's the women's program that I'm crafting. It's called Sovereign You. It feels like for women, like this predominant like desire, with women having been in this kind of subordinate position for so many centuries, thousands of years, that like women are in this reclamation in an embodied way, not in a dominating way, but in an embodied way that is like this reclamation of our sovereignty, which is like self-trust, right? It's like what my needs are valuable and valid and worthy and deserving. So sovereignty for women. For men, it feels like men also need that too. Like all of these things that have been like really condemned about like the masculine showing up in ways that have been experienced by women in unhealthy ways, which is like true and valid and real. And also like how does the, I'm saying masculine, but like I'm speaking specifically to like a heteronormative gender, like the male humans in the world, like how do these male humans like feel like valid in the instinctiveness that is them, sexuality, defending, protecting, like these aspects of men in their valid place in society that have been like very like shadowed, like kind of pushed away. And so I really believe in like supporting men to integrate those parts and integrate like sexuality, heart, mind. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent.
Forward into that though. Yeah. It's like all the conversations I'm having with like women mostly, but men as well right now is like it's just so alive at this period in time.
Yeah. It's so needed. Because like
so needed.
Women are doing this work and men are doing this work too. And like we all need to do this work. Like we can't exist. Like I don't want to exist without integrated men, and men don't want to exist without integrated women. So like how do we all like do this
forward into that leadership space, but also be able to allow the other to do its work? Because there's that space with women as well as falling into like the hyper independent, right? Like, oh, I'm going to take care of everything. And I was actually reading something just last night where about how like it's beautiful, right? Like I was also in that space of like there was a period of time where I was like, I not only like want but need to know that I can be in a position of like taking care of myself, like making my own money and doing these things, not necessarily relying on other people for like my own power of knowing that I can do that, which I know that I can do that. And it got unhealthy to the point of hyper independence, right? Of like, I don't need help. I don't need to ask for help or any of that. But like within that space, speaking to women specifically, it's like, if we are taking up all that space, and if you're calling in a union, a divine partnership, whatever that is for you, there isn't any space for him to enter or to even like, even if you're going on dates, giving off this essence of like, oh, I've got everything locked, which is beautiful. But then it's like the man comes in, it's like, well, where is there isn't space for me. And so there isn't really anything that I can offer you. And so I think there's a different space of being like, yeah, I got myself, I can take care of myself. And I was just having this conversation with a friend the other day where I was like, I've got that. And I'm also energetically as well as like verbally opening up this space of like, and you're welcome in here to help be the protector, to help be the provider. Like I deeply welcome that in, and not from a space of like, I'm giving my power away to you, but from a like, I am deeply open to this coming into my life and like holding space for that. And I also know that I'm okay on my own, regardless of how things are meant to unfold.
Like we all want to feel that like stability in our own body and mind, I think. And that's like, it creates that relaxation for the organic flow to exist. It's like, and then the alignment of it is like, it's so reliable. It's like, you can really feel that the alignment of it is, it's just like valid and true and reliable when there isn't that like seeking energy. It's like, maybe there's a soul yearning, which is different than like the unintegrated nervous system piece that's like, I'm not complete without
me.
Which again, like, just think of like pop. I just had a flash of like pop music and how much of it is like, I'm not complete without my friends.
Like my other half. And you're like, it's beautiful to.
It is. Like from
conceive in that way.
Yes. From a soul place, like I completely would like get on a soapbox and claim this for maybe lifetimes. I don't know. But like we're all hungering to create a secure, functioning, attached relationship with another human being, to be met and to be witnessed and to heal. Like, honestly, we can do a lot of healing on our own. And I think that's really valid and important. But like, there's always going to be reflectivity that comes up in intimate partnership. And like, to be able to be fully held by the adult caregiver archetype that we didn't get held by in our childhood. Like, I just think it's a biological like impetus that we all feel, that this desire to feel secure attachment with a partner. That's my claim. I've also read Sex at Dawn. I don't know if you know anything about that book.
I have not read it.
It's an amazing book.
Okay, great.
I love that book. And it can be really triggering for a lot of people. It was not for me at all. Anyway, I digress. Like,
you're like, that's a whole other.
Yeah, that really is like another podcast. But I do like believe in supporting couples to like the tantric intimacy part that I'm studying is like, it's just consciousness, right? It's like conscious connection with self so that we can create conscious connection with others. And if that's the alignment, like, like the world will just be like the sexiest place ever.
Yeah. And you're like deeply listening. Yeah. And like to yourself as well as to the other, and being able to really like meet each other in that space in the way that you show up in divine presence, whether it's like sexual or not. It's like you show up in that with everything that you do. And I even like a really simple example is, devotion. I try to live as devotionally as I can because I feel like that's that element of like consciousness in life. And a really simple example is like, it could be how you make your bed, but I think about it how I, the way I show up in service when I'm like dressing the massage table for people to come in. It's like, I don't usually have any music on, and I'm usually just like there and deeply present. And it's like so simple and it's so fast, but there's an added element of me just like being deeply present of like, I am dressing up this space, even kind of like dressing up the podcast space to like hold this as sacred, because it is just as like alive and vibrant and sexy and tantric and beautiful. And so we get to like bring that added element in, and that has only like come in naturally as I've like started to work with this energy within myself and my own being, seeing it radiate out into these other areas. And like my life is so much more rich with my plant. Just
like, yes, it is like, very rich. I love you, and I can feel that you love me.
They're like very happy with what I did with the space today. They're like,
little friend. Beautiful. Yes, it is so real. And like, I say this to my girlfriends a lot. I've arrived into this phase of life where I have several women friends that I'm like, is this real? Like, I get to be in a friendship like this with these women. It is like, it's profound. And speaking of like nervous system healing and how to like create real depth and honesty, because I've had moments like of what's the word that I want to, like there's a chunky moment and like a truth gets shared or needs to get shared, and like we do that. And then we also talk about like, can I say this, like yoni massage? Like, we also talk about that with each other, and we're like, oh, what? This is like real sisterhood. Yeah. This is like, and the ripple effect of that, like in the world, is like massive. And then as the container opens up in the self with that type of imprint in the nervous system for a female it's romantic in that it's like there's like lifelong love happening in these friendships, right? But not romantic in like, I'm not going to go cohabitate with this friend of mine. But it still has this like resetting and capacity expansion in the nervous system to make space for, perhaps if it's wanted, like a more conscious partnership and devotional partnership, because in the consciousness of it all, right, there's space for the truth to be shared. There's space for the real emotions, like the real thoughts, like the real
the rawness of it all, without any like filtering. It just, you allow it to just come through,
which we're craving, right? Like we're craving for that with ourselves, right? Like there's so much shut down because people, I mean, oh my gosh, like there's so many ways to talk about this, but like the body being overwhelmed by stress that's just not been processed. Like the world is like full of stressors, right? That's partly why I want to go create my commune, but
I'll be out there with you.
Please.
Right there with you.
Do it. It's going to happen. Like I have no doubt.
It is.
Yeah. To consciously choose not to just like, I'm going to escape the world, but like to consciously choose to create an environment that is actually supportive to the nervous system. Like I really don't like getting in my car and driving around because it's so unnatural to be in this little container zooming down a road at even 30 miles an hour. It's like the human body doesn't do this. The human body is like, I'm already in a state of activation because this is actually not safe to my body's experience.
I want to walk. I want to bike. I want to like those types of movement. Yeah.
Where you can take in the information and the body can actually like be feeling it and experiencing it and feel settled by it versus being overwhelmed by it. So the human body is like, in the context of advanced civilization that we live in, is in this state of like high saturation of the stress and the overwhelm that's trying to process just from today, right? And now we're not even like yet talking about all of the stress that's been accumulated from birth to now. And then before that, right? Like the epigenetics, like all of these things that we're inheriting in. So like the body is just at this capacity place. So it's craving to be acknowledged, like so hungry to be acknowledged. And the go-tos are to not acknowledge and whatever. We've already talked about this, right?
Yeah.
So like the consciousness of self is so potent. And when we give ourselves that witnessing, and then we start to recognize that like, yeah, I want that witnessing in my relationships as well. And then the relationships and the way that you discern how to spend time with the people that you spend time with are aligning into that place of like conscious interaction, because we're all just craving to be real. We all just want to be real and seen. And like, that's part of the healing and the transmutation, right? Is like, we get to be honest with ourselves, and that creates a movement of this stuff that's been stuck. And then we get to be honest with another. And that continues to create more movement of this stuff that's been stuck and like in pain and, blocked, whatever. I'll need to go into like the nervous system processing of it all, but I really believe in like the container of relationship is so powerful. And like, it's like an it's an untapped like resource for our own like self transformation. Like, I really believe that. And we're all freaking frightened to go there. But like the biological, like
to that.
So powerful. So that's like, it is like you mentioned a bit ago, like it is so hard. And there's this like internal battle going on of like, I want that, but like I'm scared. I want that, but I'm fucking freaked out. I want that. I'm so frightened and terrified. And like just a little bit of leaning in, and then you start to taste the liberation and like the real autonomy that comes through working with one's rawness. And then it's like the inertia where it's like, oh, this is it. And then you just keep going. And then like, at least that's what it's been for me for the last like 3.5 years. And now I'm like, oh my God, this is like how my body gets to feel now compared to
my life gets to look like.
This is what my life gets to look like versus, I mean, I felt like I had chronic anxiety for 15 years. Like right here. And then as part of my coaching program, it was an optional part to go to Costa Rica for 7 days. And I was in a room with 100 women who were also in my program. There were 300 of us around the globe, 100 of us this 1 week retreat. There were 2 1-week retreats. And we were being held by our 3 mentors, the founder of the program, Layla Martin, and then our 2 teachers. We love Layla. Our 2 teachers also, like these women, Corey Scott, and then Marina Nabau. And oh my God, like just unexplainable, like the deep embodiment of these women. And then, but to be in the space with 100 women and to all of us like be in this, like saying yes to leaning into the discomfort of feeling the pain and then witnessing the pain move through. We would do these really profound, long breathwork practices every day, sometimes twice a day. And like the nervous system, like the somatic expression of all of these stuck places that would just come out. And like, just gonna high five woman, like the power of women to say yes to being vulnerable is unmatched. And men, you can do it too. Fuck yes, men can do it too.
Yeah.
We can all do this, and we all need to do this in order to actually feel like we're this buoyant, radiant creature that we actually are.
Stuff comes out and moves through from that vulnerability. Like it is a superpower. It's not like what me and most people have been taught of, like, oh, vulnerability is weak. It's like, no, through your vulnerability and your authenticity, you get to truly shine. And that's even what like this podcast space has been for me and why I encourage other people into. I'm like, just be you. Like this is the space for like true authenticity. We don't edit. We don't do any of that. It's a space for rawness and realness in whatever form that looks. And it's going to be edgy sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's really edgy.
It's like, it's a counter to what normalized culture teaches us. And so it's scary, and it feels like you're going to be like cut off from your, tribe and your family. And like, I've had some really interesting interactions with my family where like, they don't fully get what I'm doing. And there's like very little discussion about what I'm doing. It's like, it's scary for them. And I'm like,
they just don't understand it.
They just don't. And that's okay.
Allow it to be. Mine is the same. It's beautiful. And I'm like, that relationship is challenging. And there's through my journey with that and like what I do, I was like, I feel like there was still this place and like this younger child within me that was seeking validation from my family in certain ways of like what I do, of like, oh, it's not a normal 9 to 5. I don't have a 401k, but like, I need you to like tell me that that's okay. And so getting to that space of like resilience and like trust within myself and love. And I'm like, okay. I don't need that to know that this is my path. I don't need your validation from you or from anyone else externally, from a partner or whatever it is. It's like, I trust my path and what I'm choosing. And I know that this is real and true. And none of that other stuff matters. And that space of stepping into power and like working with that vital life force that like exists right in our Dantean centers. But the journey, like the journey to that space.
Oh yeah.
Is so fucking messy.
Yeah. Well, it's like the romantic relationship container has that potency to create these like interfacing moments that are super uncomfortable. And also our relationship to our work can do that. Like there's an intimacy with our stepping into like this deepest, like, oh my God, like I am like naked and bare. If I'm going to show up in what I really believe in, like you're making yourself available for a lot of judgment and criticism and it's
misunderstanding
and
all of it. And so even through that, can you hold strong in your knowing, which has been, as an entrepreneur of any type of a kind, because you're like, this is me. I'm not like following what anyone else is doing. This is me putting myself out there of like how I feel I am meant to be an operative service to the world. And that is like, it's not just entrepreneurship, like it's trailblazing. You're creating a new path and also like encouraging others that's like, hey, this is an option for you too. Like you can step into your power, like your life and your business, your work it's all one. Like you shouldn't have to take a vacation from your life. Like vacation should be a part of your work and your life. At least that's what I truly believe is that it all gets to be intertwined if we allow it to be. Like this thing where it's like, oh, I get 2 weeks of vacation a year and then like the rest of the time I'm just like working my ass off. It's like that's not truly living. I'm like, look at everything that's around us. Like if you take a moment to just slow down and look at the magic and the beauty and the miracles that exist of just like plants growing the way that they do, or like the colors that surround us and the sun shining, you're just like, I desire to truly be a part of this. And like, I'm willing to step forward and like create a life that's true for me in a way where I get to engage with all of life and move through this world in the way that feels real and true for me, and engage with connections and not have to sacrifice my time and my energy to show up for someone else's vision or for the way that I was taught to work in this world. And that feels like a huge part of this reclamation of time that we're in right now. And like one of the reasons why I love the Gene Keys so much is because it's really calling people into that space of like your true, you can call it dharma, you can call it your path or whatever it is, but like unlocking your uniqueness and really letting that radiate and shine out and through you in whatever way, shape, and form that takes, and acknowledging the path and the messiness that is, because it's not just like a flip of a switch. Like one day, like, oh, I'm in my power and I have this successful entrepreneurship business and all of this. It's like we're still on Earth. We're still in our human form and in interacting with the Maya. And that's why I love the path that you're on and what you're studying, because it's like Tantra is one of the forms in which we learn to like engage with the Maya in a way that feels like really beautiful and can be like light even in the darkness, because of how we choose to the tools that we choose to bring in and how we choose to like navigate through these deep waters.
Yes.
It's a juicy life.
It's such a juicy life. And like we get to redefine what it means to thrive. And so much of that is described in the Tantric teachings. And there are other bodies of teachings that I think claim that and aspire to like bestow that type of perspective and that type of approach to life in the same way. But that's the one that I'm familiar with too. And since we're talking about it, it is like, this is, classical Tantra. I'll speak to that like a little bit. I'm not an expert on Tantra. I'm still studying it. That book was like a big shift into
Radiance Sutras. This just came in the mail the other day. Cool. It's been sitting in my
book
cart of an entity that will not be named for quite some time. I try not to order from as often as possible. But I just thought it was really, side note, thought it was really beautiful. That this conversation was getting to be had. And I just like read the foreword and the introduction, the first sutra, like 2 nights ago. And now we get to sit here and this conversation. So I'm grateful for
beautiful
the timing of all of this to come into my world. It's like, oh, you get to expand even more into this like lovely engagement with lives. I don't want to interrupt you.
No interruptions. It's all flow. Just the original like classical like tantric inspiration. What's the word I want to say? It's simply to expand your energy body. It's to be in the presence of one's energy and to feel this expansion of one's energy, to feel a deeper relationship with one's energy, the energy body. And in that, like, it feels very simple. but the way that can get applied can be approached in so many different ways. And we, in modern interpretations of Tantra, like I would say, and what I say in my workshops is like most of what we witness is not a classical tantric approach. In classical Tantra, there was a right-handed path and there was a left-handed path, and the right-handed path was like to like really make it sound rudimentary, because that's about all I can speak to with it, is like you remove all of the distractions of the context of life and you go in and you feel this and you experience this, because many of us don't have the capacity to employ the distractions of life circumstance and go in at the same time, because we're also just like, our energy is also like going in so many different places. So to try and contend with the external experience and the internal experience at the same time is like nearly impossible.
Yeah, it's so subtle, the internal experience.
Right. So that was like the right-handed path was like exit and go here and cultivate this. The left-handed path was like that's still about this like development of one's energy, but it was like, how can we work with these human experiences, and how can we work even with the human experiences that would be so-called described as like non-spiritual? So like the sexual practices of Tantra were in this left-handed path. And how can we say, wait, actually, like these experiences are a way for us to feel our energetic aliveness, and also to like redefine that these experiences are just as valid as an energetic spiritual practice, as something that has this more, I'm just going to say like the word conservative or like traditional, or sort of, you know, in what we understand in this like Judeo kind of Christian perspective of like, this is right and this is wrong.
It's like different methods to the same source point.
Yeah. In a way, and like this one was, the left-handed path was in a lot of ways like more complicated, right? Because you're like, it can get blurry. Like if you don't have a really integrated self with your own self energy, like this path could be like, are you in this practice and really in touch with your own energy? Or are you up here and working from this place of like the ego, you know, this like other mind that wants to tell you that it's like just this energetic experience, but it's actually like something that's trying to accomplish something so that you can feel validated by an external experience. So I'm not sure if that makes sense, but it's like, yeah, this was harder in some ways, the left-handed path, and the right-handed path was harder in its own way, because you had to cut it all out and go deep in. But my understanding is that like students who would come into this path of Tantra, which I want to say, like, there's no like single Tantra. Like Tantra has like thousands of different bodies of like I'm going to say dialects, but speaking of language, like different versions of it, depending on where you were in India or southern China, or even Japan had like its own versions. Like it's a very diverse body of teachings, and
has like the cultural involvement is going to be different.
Exactly. But my understanding is like the right-handed path for a student would be like, this is where you need to begin, so that you can really tune in and cultivate here without the confusion that can come when we interface with other experiences and other people.
Yeah, as you were speaking, that's what I was feeling into. So I was like, well, it's like, yeah, they're both challenging. And I feel like, at least if I was speaking from myself, like if I wanted to go the left-handed path, I would need to do the right-handed path first, at least for a time, to cultivate that inner self. To be able to step into that space of, not that it's distraction, but like you said, with the ego, like our mind is just the thing that we have to battle with. And so it's like, are you approaching that from like, what is your intention and where are you coming to that space from? And is it from that deep space of self, or are you just, going through the motions in a way to maybe get there? Like, so from my feeling, I'm like, I feel like you have to cultivate that inner space first before being able to step into that left-handed path.
Yeah. That's a beautiful way to describe it.
Yeah. But I also know, like, for some people, it might be like the way that we all learn is so different, right? It may be easier for some for some people to be in that experience of the left-handed path and through that experience be able to dive deeper into themselves.
Totally.
It's also just so magical and beautiful.
Yeah. And if you have the like really healthy, like integrated support system around to help you discern like what
hold you accountable and keep you in question.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if you're just like doing it, okay, but if you're I guess you have to be surrounded by the right support to be like, or decompression or integration in a way of like, oh, this was the experience, like did you learn from this? What was coming up for you? Like where is like the point of contention or that you need to like work with? So I can see how that's a huge part of it.
I mean, like good, healthy, integrated teachers are just like an important part of life, I think. Like, I feel like I have a really cultivated self-practice to deepen into like, what is that limiting belief? Like that's in this like subconscious driving place. Like I've uncovered so many things in my own process. And I also like have a therapist. I have a coach. I see them regularly. I can't imagine not having those support systems. I also have really beautiful like friendships where I can like have those processes too and reflections. But there's two things that are coming up for me right now that I just want to offer. One is, in this realm of Tantra and how the first phrase that I offered, which was like every aspect of what it means to be human, or bringing heart awareness to every aspect of what it means to be human. The couple phrases that like landed with me when I started reading this book and some other books about Tantra 3 years ago were the like, there's like a religious kind of understanding with a number of religions or spiritual bodies, which says like, you have to like do X, Y, and Z in order to experience your own divinity, or you have to do or like live in a certain way, or you have to like be a certain kind of type of person or something
to have this experience,
to be able to like
or tap into
to tap into your own source radiance and like divinity. And Tantra was like, no, that's not true. Like you can be a monk, but you can also be like a person who lives on the street, and you are permitted. It's not the right word. It's not like there's something that's like granting this opening, but like
you have access.
Yes, you have access to that, and you have access to that whether you're sipping a cup of tea or in a very angry conflict with another person. That all of these experiences of life are like a portal into experiencing one's own divinity, and that you don't have to be like at a certain stature or status or whatever to be able to feel that. Like it's
get through a certain number of teachings or any of that. Like it's available like right here, right now.
Yes. I like to say it's available to everyone and available through everything. That's like I remember like that was like, oh, that's what this is. Like this feels so aligned. Like we hear a lot now, like there's all this stuff with like sex and that Tantra, like it, in my mind, like was always like, oh, it has something to do with sex. But like, honestly, it's such a tiny, tiny component of the actual body of teachings. It's there, but it's like, because, I mean, I think this is one of the things that's showing up in society. Like we're so like, sexuality is like this thing, and like, it's a thing. Like
first big driving force, like of course.
And we have like made it so that it's not okay, and like judged and unacceptable, and like even bodies, right? Like to have a relationship with one's own body is, especially a woman, to have a relationship with her own body is like, there's something frightening and threatening and not okay about that. So to me, like one of the reasons that Tantra is being so attached to, and maybe has been so attached to, the sexual aspect of what its origins are, or a component of its origins, is because there's been such an unhealthy relationship with body, sexuality, etc. Which is fine. Like we're all just like, we're in this process as a body of humans. And if that can help to create some like awareness building, like beautiful. And so what I try and do is just do as best as I can with my part of representing what Tantra is, which is to remind people that it's much more than sexuality. And if a person is describing it as Tantra, to just be thoughtful, because sometimes it puts a different flavor on what the intention of it is. And I like to use the word neo-tantra because then it at least recognizes that like my application and like everything that I do in my work, it's not classical tantra. I would say part of my own personal practice would be very classical tantra, and that I'm just like really tapping into my own like self, like presence and energy.
And honoring and respecting that, like where it actually came from,
and
it
that
is. And
right.
Yeah.
And like that also is just like, well, that's just part of being human, being present, being alive, right? Like I get it connected to Tantra or not. Like it's still just a part of this human awakening, I guess. But yeah, so there's I could say so much more about what I've learned about it. But I think that's the most important thing, is just to convey that it's got much more to do than just sexuality. And also sexuality can be another container through which to have reflection on one's own process. And that's awesome too.
Yeah. Well, that's such a powerful space. Like when you're entering into a safe container within that, like that, there's a lot that comes up within the space of sex and like intimacy in that way. And so, which is just leads back to like what we were talking about earlier, of having that safe container of like a real, I shouldn't say real partnership, but just a safe container to be able to explore that. Like I think we so much on the topic of like sex and bodies in our culture, and like it's a space I've come into over the last couple of months especially, has just been this like how incredibly, like I've known this, but I've embodied it. It's been this space of like how sacred sex actually is. And even though as these like human animals that we are, of course we have these drives and these impulses, and like, and that's amazing part of our bodies. Our bodies are so incredible in all of their needs. And learning to have a relationship with those impulses and those needs, and learning where that's, or just being in question of like where that's coming from, and what you're looking for, and or what you're trying to get out of it, and is there another space or way in which I can be with this force? Because sex is also, especially, I mean, I shouldn't just say especially women, but like it's our creative life force, right? And so when we are sharing that with someone and expressing that, maybe you could speak to this a little bit more. Like, I don't want to say it's necessarily like pulling creativity from other spaces, but I have at least been in the experience of where I'm like, oh, if I'm not having sex and intimacy for like an extended period of time, I do see how other creations in my world are, there's just like, it's like there's more life force flowing into those things instead of it going into and coming out this other form. And I know there's like ways in which to work with that. That's just kind of like where I'm at with everything now. And like one of the ways in which I'm learning to be more conscious when it does come to sharing of myself and my energy in that way. And it doesn't necessarily just have to be like sex and intimacy. It's also like, where do I choose my prana to go, and the people I want to interact with, and being more conscious and aware of like where I do drive. Do I need to go to the store? Do I need to put my energy out in this direction? And really honing in on like taking that creative life force and pouring it into the offerings and places of service that I'm really looking to create, that like want to be birthed through me, and that are really asking for me to really look at the ways in which I've been living and using my prana and my life force energy and just doing like taking stock of it all. I mean, like, okay, where can I alter how I've been doing things? Because like even getting in the car and driving is like a use of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of that life force. And I will like be creative, and then I'll go to the store and I'll come back and I'm like, it's only been 15 minutes. Like, where did that creative energy go? You know? And I was like, oh, so much of it came out in this way and form. And so, yeah, all that being said, just like coming into that space of sharing of our energy, sex or otherwise, just being so incredibly sacred.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I could go a couple different directions with that theme. The one that's feeling really potent for me in the program that I was in, like it was all of the students, all of my cohort, we were all feminine identified. Most like wouldn't like to self-describe as a woman. I think there were a number of people who weren't, but like feminine identified, whether with anatomy, most of us would be or not. And so like a lot of our training in the self-development, which was the first 4.5 months of the program, was all self-development. We had a required number of meditations every week, like 3 meditations minimum every week, and then like 3 to 5 somatic practices that we had to do every single week for the first 4.5 months. And then that continued through, then we learned the coaching methodology and we still had required meditations and practices there. And then the final component. Anyway, the first part of it was all geared at like this cultivation of the energy body and like to free up all of the imprinted pieces that were stuck and locked in from programming and, you know, just all of this like assumed messaging that we're all just constantly faced with. So that was the overarching like focus of the first component of the program. She called them trimesters. So the first trimester was self-development. And a big part of that self-development process was self-pleasure practice. And it was always like everyone, like I would say the undertone of everything was like, you choose what is true for you. So everything was always an invitation and never a must. Even the pacing, that was like, you self-pace. If you can't do 3 practices this week, don't do 3 practices. And it really cultivated and like turned this, which is like, again, like the world that we're living in, right? Like everything comes back to us claiming that the reality of our life is our own creation. Like every aspect of what I see and experience in the world around me is only my responsibility. This deep self-accountability for whatever has happened, whatever's happening, and what will happen. And that was really hard for a lot of people in this program, like not knowing and just not like almost still that more like kind of victim attitude of like, you shouldn't have been like this and whatever. And it was really interesting to have conversations with me and a number of other women who I'm still really close with about like how that makes sense, right? Like we want to trust and like have everything tell us that like we are safe and like not push us into a place or a predicament that's like, we get to choose that for ourselves, because then if we do something and we feel overextended, the natural tendency, because is to blame, is to find the reason that's outside of ourselves for why something became uncomfortable.
Instead of taking self-accountability and responsibility. There's so much power in that though, once you do. Like I've even reflected back on some really challenging experiences over my my whole Saturn return was gnarly. And like, but looking back on that, being like, I chose every little bit of that. I could like assert blame on any of the people or situations. So I was like, I was an active participant. All of that was my world because that was what I chose. And there was also a lot of like beauty and wonderful things that happened within that space as well because of the conduit of that pain. And like, so that's where just quickly that side note of like gratitude for the beauty and the joy and the wonderful things that you create. Like I look around my room and I'm like, holy wow. And then there's also that like acknowledgement and gratitude and thank you for like for the pain, because through those experiences we also get to come out the other side so much stronger.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to some of today's episode. If you would like to hear the full conversation along with exclusive interviews, mindfulness-based practices and sessions, behind-the-scenes content, and so much more, then please head over to my Patreon page, which is linked down below in the show notes. This podcast gets to prosper, and so does our community when we come together to support each other in sharing our unique gifts in this world. I'm very grateful for your support, and I look forward to connecting more. Big love.